Heyo. Yep, it's me, Medium Beetle. You already know. And oh my god, you guys, it's almost Thanksgiving. Can you even believe it? And in the spirit of this holiday, I thought it'd be a nice idea to direct my complaints at a monster notorious for overeating, Gums. I felt like as a cadre, Gums did not live up to the standards set by his peers. Now this is by no means my biggest gripe with the manga, and if I were to assess my complaints like they were disaster levels, the bulk of this video would probably be somewhere around Tiger, with one specific issue I discussed at the end being closer to Demon. And as a reference point, my last video was easily Dragon, at the least. That retcon was a threat to the integrity of the entire manga, and possibly a threat to all of humanity. Nevertheless, a threat is a threat, regardless of how small or insignificant it may seem. If I feel the urge to voice my complaints, that's what I'm gonna do. And just a quick little disclaimer before we really get into it. I know Gums' pronouns may not be he, him, but throughout this video, I'm gonna keep calling him a he, because it feels more natural to me. So for those of you who are gonna try to discredit my entire opinion, all because I didn't use the proper pronouns, I want to let you know that I'm not assuming genders or anything, I'm simply denying their significance. You know how boys are more likely to give their imaginary friend the same gender as their own? Well, I'm a guy, and as much as I hate to say it, Gums is in fact imaginary. And you tell me, does Gums look more like this? Or like this? And I swear to God, don't you even dare think about bringing up this, because that is a discussion for another time, and I refuse to go down that rabbit hole right now. But I do discuss this in a little while, so if you happen to be on the edge of your seat dying for some more info on Gums' gender identity, then go ahead and skip to this timestamp and have a blast, whatever. Gums automatically piqued my interest when he was first revealed. His basic design speaks volumes about what he is, what he does, and what he represents. Gums is just a body and a large mouth. The way I see it, Gums' design embodies one of the core components of what makes a monster so terrifying, their tendency to devour their victims. What makes Gums' appetite so monstrous compared to any other animal has to do with the abnormal impact that his excessive consumption would have on the world. Outside of a few other heroes and monsters, Gums' desire to consume anything he wanted would be met with little to no resistance. His physical prowess, paired with an insatiable appetite, essentially makes him a hybrid of an apex predator and a parasite. Like if an entire invasive species was composed of only one organism. Imagine that. If left unchecked, I believe Gums possess the potential to consume all life. This is why Gums doesn't require deep motivation to be awesome. All he knows is how to consume and destroy, and that is absolutely fantastic. Out of all the cadres, I was most excited to see what his presence would bring to the table. Unfortunately, Gums doesn't do much besides stand around and occasionally try chomping at a hero, and then he gets killed and that's it. Now he's dead. And while I did appreciate what little he was able to contribute to the arc, I couldn't help but feel like he deserved more. And yes, I'm fully aware that Gums played even less of a role in the webcomic, but that can also be said about Fear Ugly. Unlike in the webcomic, Fear Ugly stole the spotlight in his manga adaptation. Surprisingly enough, I thought Fear Ugly's abilities didn't sound very interesting, and he didn't look all that interesting to me. So he was actually the cadre I was least interested in based off of first impressions. Yet every part of the arc that he was involved in wildly exceeded my expectations, to such an extent that I feel inclined to make a video dedicated to how much I love this guy. Seriously, big round of applause for Fear Ugly for going above and beyond. You, sir, are a spectacle, and you really do deserve as much praise as I plan on giving you. 100%. Bravo, you're the best. Okay, but enough of that, back to Gums. His abilities were also displayed the least compared to the other cadres. What happened to Gums being fucking awesome and interesting in this one panel? Like, look at how insanely enormous he gets here. His mouth literally surrounds both Pig God and Tank Top Master. And then not showcasing any powers beyond his normal bite after this point. These panels prove that Gums' condensed form is a choice. His body can obviously expand like dough, so I don't know why his awesome expansion abilities weren't displayed beyond this point. Running with that whole dough concept, I was also hoping maybe he would absorb things into himself, kind of like Zombie Man does with this bat. Like his whole body was capable of consuming, like, I don't know, something cool and unexpected. He's a cadre. I just feel like if he was handpicked by Gyoro as an elite destructive entity, then show me what puts him on the same level as the rest of the cadres. What makes him stronger than someone like, I don't know, Deep Sea King, who is only ranked Demon? Because at the end of the day, all we're able to see is him fail to eat some heroes, get his butt whooped by Silverfang and Genos, get a third hole punched through him, and then get ripped in half. Yes, his bite strength was strong enough to make Tank Top Master struggle, he did overpower and almost devour Pig God, and he was also able to survive getting holes ripped in his belly and being burnt from the inside out, but I still felt like his aggression as a monster, whose main drive is his primal desire to eat, was lacking. Along with receiving arguably the smallest role amongst the cadres, he also manages to consume less living organisms than Great Food Tub.
No way!
Yes way. The walking embodiment of gluttony and excessive consumption devours less prey than an oversized bearded dragon. He doesn't even eat this free arm just laying there. This scene pissed me off because it felt like the scene was intentionally set up to have pure ugly feet Gums here. He acknowledges Gums' hunger by saying, Gums really hates to have to wait for his meals. Then directly after that, rips off this punk's arm. So naturally, I'd expect the next logical step to be for Pure Ugly to toss the arm over and give him a nice little snack. But nope, he can't even be thrown a bone. So I guess that I'm the dumb one for thinking Murata would actually allow Gums to eat anything other than a bunch of rocks. Of course not. I was really praying for a second phase after he got ripped in half, where maybe he'd expand and go on a crazy eating rampage and make up for some lost time. But apparently there's a limit to his regenerative abilities, and that's that. Gums is dead forever. Fucking great. Another disappointment was the omission of the tiny bit of backstory that Gums received a while back. Considering how much depth we did receive in the form of backstories and motivations for some of the other cadres, it wouldn't have bothered me too much if Gums didn't get the same attention. If I didn't think that the one simple word that got retconned out of the manga wasn't extremely compelling. This one word could have entirely changed the way we look at the dynamic between monsters and humans. In the original chapter 114, titled Cadres, Pig God calls Gums Mom. That's right, if it weren't for the retcon, Pig God would have been the offspring of a dragon-level monster. My head was spinning with theories when I saw this panel, trying to put together how this was even possible and what it meant for the story moving forward. This one simple word created a lot of questions, like, why is Pig God a hero and not a monster? If Gums is the mother, then who is the father? And what part of Gums' body did she even give birth from? Well, I came up with what I believe to be a reasonable and dynamic theory that did a pretty good job of answering all these questions. Here it is. Considering the spiritual nature of monsterization, how a human or animal can often become a monster through intense emotional or spiritual turmoil, what if Pig God's conception was the inverse of this process? What if there was a component of Gums' human victims that he was unable to digest? While organic material is instantly dissolved, maybe a part of humans was indigestible. Their feelings of dissatisfaction and frustration with being consumed, along with the fighting spirit, maybe that built up over time, like a kidney stone or an oyster's pearl. This would explain why Pig God is impervious to the digestive properties of Gums' stomach, considering we see him fully swallowed not even once, but twice. Just a little tiny spoiler for Attack on Titan Season 1, just a little tiny one. I sort of visualized it in a similar way to when Eren Yeager first transforms into a Titan after being eaten. Imagine that instead of Eren having inherited the Attack Titan, his rage at the state of the victims in that Titan's stomach, along with his fighting spirit, was what catalyzed him into his transformation. But in Pig God's circumstance, he wouldn't have been formed from one individual, but from the accumulative of the consumed humans. I thought that would be pretty cool as a concept, and it would also give the victims of this monster some sort of justice in the process. Assuming that Pig God is in fact the byproduct of both the monster itself and the victims it consumed, it makes sense that Pig God would inherit the wild appetite that defies human limits, along with the undying spirit that led him to become a hero. So as you can see, the implications of this are enormous, and what this would have added...
And it's gone!
So guys, I messed up.
What?
As it turns out, right at the end of me putting this whole video together, it came to my attention that Pig God didn't say mom. Gums said nom. And now listen, I get that this is on me, but at the same time, think about this. Oh my god, this is just, this is fucked. Alright. Let's see, so as it turns out, my whole theory is a stinking pile of shit, and there's nothing I can do about it at this point. I would have loved to see where Murata took, you know, the whole concept.
Not anymore, you don't. Poof!
But obviously that's not how things turned out, so I'm sorry. Sorry for wasting your time with this whole beautiful theory that I came up with and created all by my lonesome. And honestly, I feel like I need to blame somebody, and I'm gonna choose Murata because he's the one that decided to make Gums say nom in the first place. And if Nom wasn't so close to Mom, then I wouldn't even had this issue. So really, all he had to do was make him say like, well, blah, or you know, something, I don't know, just a fucking sound. I don't know. It's just, it's unfortunate, and I don't know what to do about it. If I'm being frank, I'm sticking by my guns. Let me tell you, I'm sticking by my guns. I'm not taking out this part of the video, and let me tell you why. Because I like my theory. I think that if Murata decided to go that route, you know, it would have been really cool. And honestly, I think it's better than what he decided to do with it. You know, at least my theory would have given some sort of justification to why Pig God doesn't face any repercussions for being in Gums' stomach twice over, whereas Murata offers zero explanation. And that leads me to my next point. And the point that I am most frustrated about, actually, his digestion abilities are inconsistent, and we're never given a plausible explanation as to why that is. Why are his eating abilities shown to be on par, if not exceeding, Pig God's, with Pig God even stating, it's digesting the debris instantly as it keeps eating. Makes me look like I'm on a diet. But when he has Pig God, and at least half of Tank Top Master in his belly, they take no acid damage. Like the digestion properties that were just laid out to us conveniently didn't take place. So choose. Either he can or he can't instantly digest stuff. If you're gonna have Pure Ugly dissolve in the span of a few panels, show our heroes facing some sort of damage as well. Or don't put them in that position in the first place. And maybe I'd have an easier time overlooking this if Pig God wasn't shown to be bleeding from Gums' bite in this panel. Him bleeding tells me that he does not have impenetrable skin, which honestly doesn't even matter anyways. And even if he did, now he has open wounds, which surely would be susceptible to stomach acid. While one and Murata want to keep upping the ante with their battles, they also don't want to sacrifice heroes. The challenge that arises when you make these cadres with wild powers have to nearly defeat heroes while also making sure the heroes don't face any real repercussions is that sometimes the way these heroes are saved from dire circumstance is not very believable. The task becomes, how can the powers of the cadres be displayed to their maximum without actually killing a hero? The problem with Gums is that the nature of his powers cause irreparable damage. Either he bites a body part off you and eats it, and it's gone forever, or he swallows you whole and you'd be gone forever. Or should be gone forever. So playing around the attributes of this monster without running into inconsistencies or contrivance is a tall order, and I personally don't think Murata met the task. You let my boy down, Murata, and it hurts. There's a hole in my chest, and the only thing that could ever fill it is Gums' wasted potential. For those of you returning to my channel, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is truly appreciated. And I'm aware that I may have hinted that my next video would be about Phoenix Man. So I am sorry if anyone saw this upload and felt a little disappointed. I can't blame anyone for not liking a holiday special. They usually suck. I promise that my next video will cover my thoughts on Phoenix Man's retcons in excruciating detail. So stay posted, that's on the way. And outside of that, thanks so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed.